Well, with the threat of mass deportations, many people and community organizations are scrambling. We have our expert here on Comunidad Valle today. Andrew Newcomb is an immigration attorney. He joins us now on Comunidad Valle. Welcome back to the show, Andrew.
Thank you, Damian. It's great to be here.
Thank you for being here. Well, we spoke with the CEO of the Latino Community Foundation, Julian Castro, just after the elections, and he says that we need to treat the threats of mass deportations as a five-alarm fire. What say you?
I think that that's an apt description of what we're looking at. The Trump administration ran into some procedural hurdles, certainly during its first 4 years. But this is a different time when he feels as though he has a public mandate. He's been given blanket immunity for any potential misdeeds by the Supreme Court, and he's learned how to operate through the system. Now, having said that, the first time around, he made a lot of outlandish promises. For example, that there was going to be a big, beautiful border wall that Mexico was going to pay for. We observed that none of those things came to pass. And so I think we should focus on, you can think of it as though there were rings on a planet in terms of proximity to danger. And I think the first ring where we have the greatest proximity to danger would be people that have criminal records or people that have prior orders of removal. I think the likelihood that he goes into neighborhoods and starts randomly arresting people because of their appearance that don't have those factors present is much less likely. I mean, they could be swept up in raids, of course. That's always something that could happen. But it's important to focus on those two communities within the undocumented community that are at greatest risk.
So the first targets, if target is the proper word, are those who already might have a target on their back, that have had some run-ins with the law in one way or another.
Certainly, Damian, and I want to just distinguish, people that have a criminal record, their information is going to be in federal databases, just like state databases. However, many people, maybe they haven't had any run-ins with the law, but they initially came in seeking asylum. Unfortunately, their asylum case was denied. Ultimately, they appealed their asylum case up to the Board of Immigration Appeals, and then their appeal was rejected. And so that's considered more of a civil penalty, but they would also be within, the court would have updated records of their home information and that kind of thing. Now, Governor Newsom's office has made some commitments that he is not going to work along with the Trump administration in his goal of doing mass deportations, which can be very beneficial in the sense of state and local law enforcement not being willing to share that information and to be able to continue providing a kind of a sanctuary for the undocumented community here in California.
This past week, Senator Alex Padilla urged, and other senators, they urged the Biden administration to fortify, solidify TPS and DACA. What is he trying to do? DACA right now is up on appeal at the Fifth Circuit. So that likely, they still haven't made a final decision as to what ultimately was an injunction by a lower district court judge. Often these litigations are started with a favorable court for conservative anti-immigration advocates within Texas, and then it's appealed through the Fifth Circuit, which has also historically been an unfriendly circuit for the undocumented community. Now, with respect to DACA, it's going to take the path that it takes to go through the court. However, people with DACA should take advantage of advanced parole and look for an opportunity to travel to Mexico and come back in with a lawful entry and admission. This can provide very important immigration benefits down the road. When it comes to TPS, the difference between DACA and TPS is that TPS is technically a lawful status. DACA is just a promise that the government is not going to deport you. So with TPS, people have an unabridged right to travel. However, those designations, for example, for people from Honduras, from Haiti, from El Salvador, they need to be extended. So one thing the Biden administration could do right now is he could try to extend those TPS statuses a few years into the future and try to issue some executive order shielding them from future executive action. That whether or not that could be effective in the long term remains to be seen, but it would certainly be very helpful and comforting for a lot of people that are living here in the United States right now with TPS. But because can't President-elect Trump come in and nullify one executive order with another executive order?
Sure, that would get into an issue, and it would probably be subject to litigation, likely, and at least it could cause challenges. There could be injunctions issued. A lot of what the plan to resist Trump's mass deportation has to do with challenging his actions in court. So even a president's executive order, as we saw with the Biden marriage parole executive order, can be subject to judicial review. They picked a very friendly forum in Texas, just like Californians can pick a very friendly forum in San Francisco. So if Biden extends the parole and then Trump
attempts to undo that extension, we could file for an injunction to stop that undoing of the extension in the first place. So either way, it would get messy. It would be a legal battle. But these things take longer than 4 years to reach the Supreme Court anyway, by which time Trump would be out of office and we'd have a whole new paradigm to work in.
Since Election Day, how busy have you been? Your phone's ringing off the hook.
Yeah, yes, Damian, people are concerned. People are afraid right now. Folks that maybe in the past wouldn't have been animated to get started on their paperwork are now feeling fear. There's a lot of feelings of nervousness and panic within the community. And so, immigration lawyers are becoming more busy. And also, as these kinds of detentions and removal proceedings are initiated, we have to remember there are still due process considerations. You can't just scoop someone off the street, determine that they're here unlawfully, and put them on a plane and deport them summarily without them having had a right to present any motions, to present any defenses on their own behalf. So we are more busy. We anticipate to get even busier as the weeks turn into months and Trump takes over the executive. But it's important to remember that there are lawful due process protections in place to protect people from that kind of summary deportation.
All right. In our next segment, I'm going to ask you to give us some consejos, your advice for free on Comunidad del Valle here on what we should know going forward. But the offices of Attorney Andrew Newcomb are right here in the South Bay. There's a website for more information. We're getting closer to that date. We'll be back with Andrew Newcomb here on Comunidad del Valle. Stay with us.